Now may we call upon Reverend Pravrajika Divyanandaprana for her address.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. My namaskars and regards to Mr. H.P. Konoria and group and all the organizers here. Pranams to the monastics and namaskars and a very good afternoon to everyone gathered here. We are really delighted to be part of this confluence, which is simply teeming with so much energy. And the topics which have been chosen, humanity and spirituality, it's something that touches everyone's heart. So it is really a marvelous place to discuss these great ideas. I have chosen just one idea for my 15-minute presentation here, and that is unity. Because spirituality actually means the perception of unity. Where do we find unity? Just think of it. This is the world of mind-boggling variety, isn't it? Of so many things, and we rejoice, we enjoy the variety. Where do we find unity? But this has been the common recurring theme for philosophers, poets. They have been singing about it for ages. Politicians are always talking about unity. Scientists are researching into this. But where exactly do we find unity? This is the special realm of spirituality, because spirituality tells us where to find unity. Unity is verily where the variety is. You see, there are at least, I think, more than 500 or 600 chairs here. But the plastic is only one, out of which the chairs are made. If I see from the plastic standpoint, there is unity in the chairs. If I see only from the chair standpoint, there's only a whole lot of different chairs. So spirituality essentially means looking at this plastic drishti, seeing from the inside. Just now your chairs are beautifully draped in cloth, so you can't see the plastic. But essentially, it is name and form superimposed on one plastic, which we are calling different chairs. So this very idea we find in the Upanishads, which are talking constantly about this unity. The theme of this particular session is, how do we bring spirituality for the development of the nation? It will only come when we are able to have this unitary vision, in spite of all the differences we have on the surface. And this will come if we develop this drishti, to be able to see things from inside out. So I will just give you one story from the Chandogya Upanishad, a part of the story actually, which will tell us how to develop this vision, to see unity where it lies. This is the story of Shvetaketu. Some of you might have heard of it. It is a story from the Chandogya Upanishad where a young boy called Shvetaketu is sent by his father. He's a rishi called Uddalak. He's sent by the father to a preceptor for studies. So for 12 long years, he studies everything. And today, like when our children come back, we ask them, well, what have you done? So he gives a long list. I am MTech from IIT and PhD from MIT. So at that time, whatever was IIT and MIT, this Shvetaketu tells him, I have done all this, studied all these subjects from here. And then the father sees that this boy, in spite of all his learning, he's arrogant. He has pride. So what's the value of learning if there's pride? Vidya dadati vinayam. So the father says, okay, my son, tell me this. Have you known that one substance, knowing which one knows everything in this world of variety, diversity? Do you know that one substance? And then the son says, I don't know anything like that. What are you talking about, father? And then the father lifts a lump of clay in his hand and shows it to his son and says, look, like from this one lump of clay, I can make a whole lot of things, and I will know everything about those things. If I know this lump of clay, I can make a ladle out of it, I can make a cup out of it, I can make a pot out of it. It's all made up of that same clay. So if I know this clay, I know everything that clay you can make out of that clay. Just as I know that there is one substance, knowing which you can relate and know everything about this world of diversity. That substance is Brahman. That is the essence of this universe. That is what we are calling God. He has different names in different religions. He is the same guy, the same person. The same essential consciousness, Brahman, manifesting through all this world of creation and diversity. And so what is the pot? It is name and form superimposed on clay. What is ladle? Another name and form superimposed on clay. There is nothing called pot apart from clay. Please see this. It is name and form given to clay. Now, in our mind, the name and form alone have become important. We don't know the clay behind the pot. So diversity can be understood, can be put together. We can make sense out of it. We can unite it only when we see its essence. That is what he is saying. And what is that essence? Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. You are verily that essence. You, pure consciousness, is manifesting in this particular name and form. Just like how there is nothing called pot apart from clay, there's nothing called wave apart from water, there's nothing called ornament apart from gold, there is nothing called you apart from consciousness. It is name and form given to consciousness that appears as you. So also the other person. So if we apply the same thing, what is you to me? You are me in another form. Consciousness is another form, in another form, with another name is I'm calling you. And the third person is again consciousness in another name and form. So the difference lies only in names and forms. The essential content is the same. If we turn our mind a bit to the essential nature of creation, to the underlying consciousness behind all diversity, we will perceive unity verily where the diversity is. Because Brahman Jagat Chhada Nai, as Thakur used to say. Seen from the inside, seen from reality as it is Brahman. It is appearing as this world of manifestation. In Sri Ramakrishna's life, this is so beautifully illustrated. Once, let me just give you this little glimpse from Sri Ramakrishna's life and I will end the talk. Once M, the recorder of the gospel, goes into Sri Ramakrishna's room in Dakshineshwar. The master is sitting there on his cot and deep in samadhi. He goes and sits at his feet. Sri Ramakrishna is blissfully in samadhi, totally unaware of the outside, of the external. And he's just radiating bliss and peace and joy. After a long time, tears trickle down his eyes and he comes out of that state, radiating bliss and light. And then he says, Jano ami ki dekchi? Do you know what I am seeing? How am I seeing this world? Then he says, E jagat brahme jore ache. This world is dripping, immersed in Brahman. Like a rasgulla, if you soak it in syrup, it gets saturated with the syrup. So also this world is saturated with God, saturated with that supreme reality. And then he says, all of this difference that you see, men and women and buildings and plants, trees, fruits, flowers, everything that you see in this temple garden, I see as that Brahman alone, appearing in these so many forms, with so many names, but one substance, appearing as all of this. And then he gives a beautiful example from that state. He says, Jano momer pata momer fool. If everything were made of wax, suppose there was a wax garden, everything in the garden is made of wax, fruits and flowers and trees and everything. So also is this world, made up of one substance. What is that wax? It is Brahman, supreme consciousness, what we call divine consciousness. It is one alone. Everything is name and form superimposed on that Brahman. So if we are asking for unity, we must know where to find it. We can find it in spirituality alone. Everywhere else there is difference. This is the glory of spirituality. Sri Ramakrishna's this vision shows us in the midst of diversity we have to find unity, and then we can celebrate that diversity. Everything else is another manifestation of Brahman, of the same reality. So this is the Vedic vision of unity. If we can recapture this vision, with the help of these great saints and avatars who have shown us the way, like this beautiful glimpse from Sri Ramakrishna's life, it will show us what the Vedas, the Upanishads are telling us. They are telling us, capture unity where it lies. You don't have to invent unity. The very same one consciousness is shining through all eyes. Names and forms, bodies and minds are different, but one consciousness expressing itself through all of this. Swami Vivekananda said this again and again in his lectures in America. And if you read his Jnana Yoga lectures, he says this is the real man, Brahman, the truth, God himself, manifesting through this entire creation. You are more the light in your eyes than you are those eyes. You are that power through which your entire mechanism is breathing, beating. You are that supreme being manifesting as men and women in so many different forms with so many different names, but one being. So this perception of unity comes to us from the power of spirituality. Today in this conference, in this Confluence, we have gathered to celebrate spirituality and humanity, the very source of human values. Whether you say unity, equality, fraternity, whatever we say lies in the perception of unity. And we must learn to see unity where it lies, in the heart of things, in the heart of existence itself, in our own hearts, in the form of consciousness. I pray that the Supreme Lord give us the strength to dive into ourselves and realize this supreme truth that God verily resides in all of us, and we must learn to worship Him there and thus in all beings. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Beautifully spoken. Thanks once again.